Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. Well, it's certainly been a very busy last several days for me. I got a chance to go out to the boring company and tour the facility. I was invited by the boring company themselves, and I want to say thank you to Nick, Lisa, and David for your outstanding tour. I learned a lot of new things, some of it for the Hyperloop Plaza, some of it here for Giga-Texas, and some of it actually for the boring company itself and some of its future plans. I will be using this opportunity to provide some new updates and discussion throughout the Giga-Texas videos in the coming several days. I was also interviewed by mysa.com, which is a San Antonio newspaper, late last week. It was about my drone experiences flying over Giga-Texas, my thoughts on the construction, the employees, and the great work that they do, and my support of the company. And I will give you an update when that is available. And then a very interesting event happened. The Texas Corvette Association invited me and my Cybertruck to participate in their 31st annual car show, and it was also alongside a DeLorean time machine. You can see the Cybertruck was a big hit. Also, it was pulling a trailer for that DeLorean, and it was really all in theme. The Cybertruck was front and center for the entire display, and they had many vehicles all throughout downtown Boerne, Texas, and this gives you a really good idea of what it was like. During the car show, I was able to interview Kai Spanny, the Corvette Assembly Plant Director, recently retired. We talked about the challenges of bringing a new vehicle to market, specifically the C8 Corvette. Also, how do you incorporate new technology while not alienating your existing customer base? And we also talked a lot about production and the challenges that are associated with products and bringing them to market. And we also talked about Giga-Texas and some of the similarities that Corvette faced when they were bringing the C8 to market. I had a fun interview with Rob Wyckoff, the owner and builder of a time machine DeLorean, also a owner of a Cybertruck. And we talked a lot about what it took to build the DeLorean time machine, and it is a high quality replica. Also, we were displaying both the Cybertruck and the DeLorean together at the car show. And these images are just a small fraction of what you'll see in the interview. We also talked about the icon status of the DeLorean and the Cybertruck, and also he brought in his trailer and Cybertruck to bring the DeLorean to the event. Really an outstanding effort, and you can see here with the quality of the material. So take a look at this video. And to wrap it up, I made a series of videos using drone, ground shots, and other media for the Texas Corvette Association as part of the agreement to have the Cybertruck at the event. And this is just a small flavor of the activities during the car show at downtown Boerne, Texas. There was a lot of people, great silent auctions, and a lot of other fun events that took place during the car show. There was some inclement weather that we were worried about, but fortunately the skies stayed relatively calm, low clouds, but otherwise a great day for a car show. And again, the Cybertruck was here and displayed, and it was very popular as well. And just all of the other cars on display were really outstanding. Now, all of the videos that I did are linked in the video description, so check them out. All right, that's enough non-Giga-Texas news and updates. So let's get into the drone, let's fly around, and let's see what Giga-Texas looks like today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. It's a beautiful morning to fly, and we're going to start off right away at the Boring Company site because we have some major news and developments. What you can see is that the crews are lifting up with this crane one of the gantries. Now, these are the various parts that are assembled kind of like a train at the back of the Prufrock 3. Now, the Prufrock 3 tunnel boring machine is well into the soil. Approximately 80, maybe 100 meters of tunnel has already been completed. This is one of the several segments of this gantry that is being lifted into place. It'll be slid into the tunnel and attached to the other ones that are already in. There's about 6 to 8 segments. There's a few more on the bottom right that will be installed a little later. Now, these gantries are very important. They provide some structure. They allow the power lines, hydraulics, other equipment to be able to be threaded into the tunnel and help make sure that the tunnel boring machine has all of the supplies, power, and other items necessary for operation. Also, you'll note that underneath it, there's like a square opening. It is open enough so that when it's installed inside, then the liner truck, which is coming into view onto the right-hand side of the screen, that is what brings the tunnel segments into the tunnel itself. Now, with that open, kind of that square area underneath that gantry that's being installed, the truck liner, or the liner truck, is able to bring in those concrete segments underneath that all the way to the front, and then robotic assemblers will pick up each of those tunnel segments and then they will install them. And this is done each time the tunnel boring machine makes about 1.5 meters to just under 2 meters of progress. Then they put those tunnel segments in, and that not only finishes up the tunnel, but it also gives another thrust surface for the pistons in the tunnel boring machine to push against to continue to make the tunneling operation continue. Now, here you see a good close-in view with the crane holding up this part of the gantry, and the crews are getting ready to install it through that thrust ring and into the concrete segments. So I know that the crews are extremely excited about this major milestone for them. This is a big deal, and it does signify another stage in making the boring tunnel here at Giga-Texas. So now that we've got a chance to see that great news, let's take a look at what's going on here at the end-of-line facility and the superchargers. What you'll note is that there's not very many Cybertrucks at the superchargers right now, nor on the entire east side of the end of line. Most of these have recently been moved over to the north part of the outbound lot or the outbound lot itself and getting ready for transport off-site. So there are actually less Cybertrucks visible now than there were just a few days ago, and I think that's a great sign. Now, the fact that there are very few Cybertrucks here at the end of line facility may indicate that they are doing something with production right now to make sure that they have enough room for the Cybertrucks to be departing off of Giga-Texas, or maybe there's some other explanation. But as you can note, there's a lot less activity at the end-of-line facility. Now, as we get to this north new lot that has been recently paved and marked, we can see some Model Ys are being stored here, but quite a few of the Cybertrucks as well. And this is a really great view showing you what this lot looks like and how all these Cybertrucks are just waiting for their opportunity to be able to ship off to the various customers around the country. And as I maneuver the drone, this gives you a good view across this site back towards the end of line and Giga-Texas itself, and also the outbound lot on the right-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to bring the drone down a little lower and give you a different view here of the west side of the outbound lot. And it's a good view of how many of the Cybertrucks and some Model Ys are waiting for transportation. Now, you'll note that these lots are fairly empty right now. That's common for a Monday because there's no production on Sunday, and then they are gearing that back up. So quite normal as far as the Model Ys. The Cybertrucks need to have more transport off-site. Now, as we move over to this material staging yard, we can see a lot of interesting developments. The steel at the bottom for the south extension, some new deliveries coming in, the TKS paint system. Most of the modular items have been installed already, more of the steel here. This asphalt section that's being used for trailers and temporary storage And then the ductwork on the right-hand side of the screen is being transported over to the roof of the body in white, and they are starting to deliver them there. So that means we're going to see those installed, and I will show you that later in the video. Now on the top of the screen, we see more of the earthwork on that section, reclaiming that old sand and gravel mine, some of the hills, and getting rid of the pond. And then this triangular section continues its preparations with conduit and for lighting, also some stormwater pipes, and eventually will be asphalt. The West Warehouse on Wheels is very busy, full of a lot of the trailers, as you can definitely tell. I did notice that there is also an excavation work going on here, and it looks like they are doing some trenching, some trench boxes in place, and they're putting some of the concrete water management pipes and concrete vaults throughout this entire section. Now eventually this entire area that you see in dirt will be in asphalt or concrete as they continue to build out the West Support Facility. One more look at the boring tunnel operation underway here this morning. So let's get ready and cross over the highway, and let's take a look closer to Giga-Texas itself. I'll stop here for a moment, just show you this gray and red ramp. This is a gravity ramp. You can see that the trailer is on it, and it just uses gravity to help unload it onto a kind of a conveyor system that is built just inside that doorway. So it's pretty interesting that they are using that in that one location. As we continue to fly to the south on the right, you can see that the lot where normally we see Cybertrucks does not have any right now. There is that Model Y that's for part of the drivers that are shuttled back and forth when they move the vehicles. We do see 6 Cybertrucks here. That opening between the two ramps is the new end-of-line exit point for the factory for the Cybertrucks. And of course, that rubbish chute has that enclosure to help keep that items that are going through there for recycling or disposal from falling onto where the Cybertrucks are. Now, as I continue to fly along the west side of the new steel structure, we see a lot of work for the windows getting prepared and all the crates with those windows. Also, we see work on the top floor or the second floor where most of the concrete's been poured. We now see man lifts, and they're working on the underside of the roof, which means maybe they're getting ready to install some HVAC duct work. On the bottom of the screen, we see the workshops for the glass company and some of the trailers as well. And then as we get closer in, some more steel has been delivered on the ground. Some of that looks like it may be decking for the roof and or the second floor. More of the work on the ground floor, preparing it for the eventual concrete slab. And they are also doing some fill-in dirt now around those 3 kind of the underground vaults, almost like tunnels. You see that one right in the middle of the screen. So that indicates that most of that work is done and slab work will be commencing fairly soon. We can also see with this yellow crane and that yellow mounting device on the ground with the suction cups, it's counterbalanced and used by that crane to lift up these very large and heavy window panes. And progress is continuing with the windows as well, as they've now passed the midpoint of the south end. As we continue to work our way towards the east, I'll pivot the drone slightly so you can get a good sense on this southeast corner of all the materials, some of the activity that is going on, also that mystery structure, which we'll get closer views of shortly. But a lot of work over on that part of this area. On the roof, we see more of the insulation panels being delivered in these large white wrapped items, and then there's some other items that are being delivered as well, preparing for the insulation to go onto the roof decking, and then after that the weatherproof membranes would be installed. In the middle section here between the steel structure and the original end of the building plus stamping 2, we see a lot of work on the ground. Plus, we see a lot of steel has been delivered, and the crane is very active in installing and is helping the crews assemble this steel structure. You'll note that the crane is moving, so I will move the drone up over the roof area so that we are clear of its operation, and we'll watch as they drop the cable down to pick up some more of these beams that are being installed as they continue to fill in this entire section with steel structure. And this is a really good view of how this steel structure in this portion of this opening continues to be built out. And also just a good view of more of the activity here on the ground level, both underneath the steel structure and under the new steel structure. And also it looks like there's that at least potential opening next to the original wall where the boring tunnels may be coming through in the near future. I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, pull back, and give you a good overall view from the southwest corner looking to the northeast. Now here on the southeast corner, it's a really great view from this altitude looking down at all of the activity that is going on near this mystery structure. We can see some of the forms in red and some what looks to be scaffolding that is getting ready to be installed. Also, we see that all the columns have been poured with concrete, cured, and the forms have been removed. We also see mounting plates along the columns at about the 1.5 to 2 meter below the top have been cast into the concrete itself. We see some what looks like possibly small pads in the middle section on the ground, and of course red scaffolding that is being installed on the north end. So this continues to be an interesting mystery to be watching. This is a good view of all the tanks on the right, the steel structure that has been erected around the tanks, and that gap where the cranes can get access to that middle section, plus how the entire south end looks. So really great to see just the amount of activity that is going on to finish out that south extension. Now while we're here, I will get a good close-in view of the activity on the roof section here with the crane hoisting up some of those ducting that we saw on that west staging yard. Here is one that is being lifted up right now. As we move over towards the area where they will be installed, we see two have been delivered here right now. Also, work has been done to define the areas on top of this opening where those ducting will be installed. And I'll take this opportunity and the lighting to try to give you some views down inside this open section. Very soon we'll start seeing this closed off with the ducting, and then around some of the open areas more of the weatherproof membrane to make sure that this is eventually sealed off from the elements. There have been a lot of developments and progress here on the multi-level parking garage. Most of the roof now has had the concrete poured, and we just have that one smaller section next to the secondary ramps that is still getting the steel reinforced mesh and on top of those double T panels, and then concrete is still being poured. We see some of that in that one ramp in the middle of the building. They're also putting in concrete on the ground level and the other 6 floors or 5 floors and 6 if you count the roof section. So a lot of progress there. Now this new intersection between Robotic Avenue on the right and River Road on the left, plus the fill-in dirt and grade work is definitely continuing. We're almost to the point where we can see how this intersection will be formed and what this will begin to look like. Now we can see the paving that has continued that will eventually extend River Road all the way up next to the east parking lot. Also, all of the steel corrugated pipes that are waiting for installation, and it looks like there may be some concrete curbing that has been started to be installed, or it may be some pipes. It's really difficult to tell in that median section. Here's a good look at the 2 cranes that are still idle, although one of them has moved since my previous video. And of course, a good look here at the contractor working and their temporary parking lot, and of course the testing and calibration lot here with the superchargers. Mostly just Cybertrucks. There's a good number of them here, probably on the order of around maybe 50. but not a lot of activity as far as workers here on any given moment. Certainly not like what it was when this was fully operational. But here's a good kind of a close-in view of the Cybertrucks that are stored here right now, and of course the helicopter pad off to the right. And I'll pull back just to give you a good overall view from this vantage point. And of course the superchargers on the left are still being used to some degree, but not anywhere near like we see on the west side. So let me fly up over the helicopter pad. We'll proceed towards the east and kind of give you a good overall view of what's going on here on this side of the site. Now, where all the trailers are, this is the east warehouse on wheels, and it looks fairly busy today. Of course, the east parking lot is full of vehicles as well for employees. And of course, the clearing location next to the trees looks like it's still pretty much in a state of not really much work being done, but of course the recycling shop and section in the middle left of the screen looks like it's busy as always. As I continue to pull back, we'll see that tent and the steel structure on the left. That is where they do pipe fabrication. All the concrete panels on the bottom are left over from the south end when they pick up all of the concrete that used to be down there as well. Good view of all of the materials that are staged on this side as well, plus a recycling yard at the bottom of the screen with a lot of materials that are being prepared for recycling as well. As we fly up over this kind of a hill, dirt area where they keep a lot of the material that eventually will be recycled. I'll move over to this direction, and I did notice next to the trees we see some more excavation work, and it looks like some of the grade here is actually being lowered to a little bit of a degree, and we'll see what they're going to do with this. It may be for more material staging. As we approach the die shop and the cathode plant, I'll stop here and give you a good view of where Tesla Road will eventually come through this area, plus of course all of the steel corrugated pipe that is waiting for installation as part of more of the water management system. On the south end of the die shop, a few things that are of note: the concrete entry over for the doors for the main entrance. The ramp for the receiving door is mostly completed, and they've added the asphalt into this kind of triangular section on this southwest corner of the building. We also see some of the markings for parking spots and, of course, the red danger lines that have been painted on the new asphalt as well. On the north end here and the west side of the cathode plant, we see a lot more of the paved work has been completed. There's still this triangular section that is waiting for the same kind of asphalt installation at some point in the future, but at least it looks like they're getting a good handle on all of this asphalt to help prevent some of the water ponding that has been a big issue for this part of the factory for some time. The tanks here from Matheson, the vaporizers, and of course the 4 stainless steel tanks with all of their plumbing looks to be in a pretty good completed state now. Of course, the roof of the chiller plant also looks fairly good, except we see some of these temporary scaffolding, so maybe there will be additional work, and this north end of the opening, we'll see if they put more Evapco units on. And the temporary platform has been removed from that open section on the battery cathode plant wall. Now, as we continue to maneuver the drone here on the north side, trying to take advantage of where the sun is, I'll give you a good view looking up to the northeast across this area where it's mostly earthwork, some storage of materials, and a few workshops remain. And then the upper right is the rental equipment lot. And in the upper right here is that large field that has materials that are related to production waiting for eventually installation into the factory. Here's a good view of more of the concrete segments that have been cut up from the east side of the casting machine structure and stored here temporarily. And of course, some more of those materials and that bridge crane that is waiting for installation. On the east side of the battery cathode plant, I'll bring the drone down here and show you the cell test lab or recycling lab, that metal structure, and of course the trailers and that office trailer nearby. The water detention pond on the left looks like there is some water from some recent rains that we had over the last 24 to 48 hours. And we also see finally more of the asphalt has been paved here next to the wade pit. Now the wade pit itself is mostly rainwater. You can see it's very green. I think they need to put some chlorine in there to take care of all of the algae that is now beginning to grow. The crash test facility has been busy as always, doing a variety of tests for all of the vehicles that Tesla makes, and it's definitely got its money's worth with the amount of training and testing that they have been doing here for the crash testing. And I'll bring the drone up, give you a good view of the east side of the battery cathode complex of structures, how it looks today. So let's fly over the employee expansion lot here, the warehouse on wheels on the left, and of course the east parking lot for all of the employees. And let's take a closer look at the work that is going on along the east side of the main factory, starting next to the secondary main entrance with this kind of a glass V-type wall. Now you see those 5 receiving doors on the concrete apron on the left. That is brand new, and it looks like almost all, if not all, of the apron has been finished on this side. We see some of these trailers with some recycling going on for castings, and then these receiving doors looks like their enclosures are being assembled more and ready for the concrete to be applied to that apron. A lot more castings along this side of the casting machine structure, some of them in rack mounts, some on the ground, and of course the large clearing area where we've seen all of the screw type piers installed, and I'll give you a closer view of that here in just a moment. But I want to give you also a good view of this northeast corner of the casting machine structure, the work that is going on here to remove part of the ramp for those 3 receiving doors and that large new clearing where I suspect we will see more of the screw type piers installed in the near future. It also looks like most of the concrete that was saw cut for removal has been removed, so maybe this is the extent of the rework. And of course, a good view of all of the screw type piers that have been installed in this open section. Rebar is being stockpiled on the left, so we should probably start seeing rebar being installed for whatever foundation this will be for here in the near future. And a good look at all of these areas that are being reworked next to the casting machine structure. As I continue to pull back and bring the drone down lower, it's a great view of how this entire east and the northeast side looks. Also, we can see that new door that has been cut in to this northeast corner and more of the rack mounts for the casting machines. The castings, sorry about that. As we continue to maneuver onto the north side of the building, we see more racks with castings next to these trailers. And it looks like there's been some large deliveries underneath the second platform here at the paint shop. And you can see all of the wooden crates and the white tarps on top of them. We see these blue containers next to the plastics manufacturing section, those 2 smaller doors. And of course, a lot of work going on here at the 4680 battery cell production portion of the factory. And it looks like a lot of the work is continuing on the inside for the expansion of the production lines. And earlier on the lower platform, I saw a lot of HVAC ducting delivered and moved inside. So let's fly around the northwest corner of the factory, proceed to the south, and see what some of the activity looks like today. There is another large crate that's being unpacked here, and it looks like more equipment for the 4680s. In this bin, we see the cans for the 4680s being moved for recycling. And this continues a trend that we've seen over the last several weeks. So maybe that indicates some sort of change on the production line. This clearing area where more concrete has been cut out and removed, plus the stairs and the receiving door and the ramp, looks like most of the work is right at the opening of that receiving door, and not much on the apron yet. As I move over to this side of the site, I just wanted to see what the work here with this I think, a sewage system, and it looks like more of the pipes have been delivered and maybe more of the cleanouts continue to be done here. And this is an area where we've seen a lot of that work over the last several years. The Model Y exit point from the factory is extremely busy, and as I mentioned early on a Monday, this is very typical as production resumes after being down for Sunday. But a lot of Model Ys, it looks like all of the drivers are in now. They'll drive over to the west side, and then they'll be ferried back to continue this operation. At some time in the future, all of this will probably be automated, but for right now, it requires a large number of drivers. As we finish flying over the roof section, let's proceed up to the electrical switch yard just to check in to see what the work looks like with the conduit that is being installed. You can see the two parallel lines. They continue to extend to the south. Here's a good view of the bundles of conduit that are being installed in the trench. Some of the red concrete on top of those conduits. And looks like in this section, they're still waiting for the concrete vaults to be installed in the bottom left of the screen, and a good view of the conduits, some of which have been covered over with dirt in this middle section. At this corner, we see those concrete vaults where the conduit come together and then the cables will run through. Those will eventually have the manhole cover tops, and that's where they can do maintenance and inspection of the wires. And this is a really good view of the crews installing more of the conduit right now. That red concrete is for safety for future excavation work, so if crews see that, they'll know that there's electrical conduit in that area. The electrical switch yard and the Megapack site looks fully operational. No real big changes going on here today, which I think is a great sign. So otherwise, that will bring us to a close of a wide-ranging flight around Giga-Texas today with the major milestone with the Boring Company tunneling. As always, thank you very much for your support. I very much appreciate it, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.